reviewing and talking about the Champions League quarter-finals second legs. So, the quarter-finals are concluded of this season's Champions League. We now know our final four, so I'm going to talk in this video about the second legs specifically, but the ties as a whole, and give my thoughts and opinions on them. And then at the end of the video I'll also do a quick sort of initial thoughts preview of the semi-finals without giving a full prediction. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions on any of the quarterfinals and your initial thoughts on the semi-finals. But let's get into it now. Before we do look at them, I do want to just look at my predictions and also your predictions. So I can tell you I did awful. I did not get a single prediction right. I said Villa and PSG would draw, it did not happen. I said Dortmund and Barca would draw, it didn't happen. I said Madrid would beat Arsenal, it didn't happen. I said Inter would beat Bayern, and it didn't happen. I did somehow get 40.0 because I guessed like some of these right, but yeah, I did abysmal. Although I looked in the comments of my predictions video, and it makes me feel a little bit better because a lot of you didn't do too well either. For example, Luke didn't get a single scoreline right either. He said Madrid would win, PSG would win, Inter would win, and Barca would win. Sticky Pistol, same thing. He said PSG would beat Villa. He did say Dortmund would beat Barca, so fair play there. But he said Bayern would beat Inter in extra time, and he did say Arsenal would beat Madrid, so he did okay. Remini was kind of trolling, but did say Villa and PSG would win. Villa would beat PSG, and Dortmund would beat Barca. James Day said Arsenal would win 5-0 against Madrid, but I mean his rest of predictions weren't amazing. He said PSG would win, he said Bayern Inter would draw, so that's okay. But shout out Kai Müller because he was the only person who managed to get a correct score. He said firstly Arsenal would beat Madrid 1-0, not bad. He said PSG would beat Villa. He said Barca would win 3-0, but he did predict Inter Bayern would end 2-2, so well done to you. But anyways, let's get into it. So we'll start with Aston Villa 3, Paris Saint-Germain 2, ending 4-5 to PSG on aggregate. Goals from Yuri Tielemans, John McGinn, Ezri Konsa, Ashraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes. Wow. What a tie, what a game, absolutely terrific. As a neutral watching that, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. It was so chaotic. I mean, Aston Villa almost pulled off a incredible comeback in this one. It felt, I said in my preview, I said if PSG scored first, I thought the tie would be done because, you know, Villa would be 3 goals down at that point, and I didn't see them coming back from that against this PSG side. So when they went 2-0 down, I was like, wow, I mean, you know, this could be a bloodbath. PSG are going to walk their way through to the semis, and this is 100% over. And at that point, you know, PSG were playing very well. Even though Villa did start pretty decent in the game, they were getting picked off on the counter-attack. Their high-line pressing was getting exposed. PSG comfortably playing out. Mendes and Hakimi with some really well-taken goals. Tielemans gets one back, but it never really truly felt like Villa were going to get back into it. And then comes just absolute chaos when McGinn scores. 2 minutes later, Konsa scores. A couple minutes later, he has a header which he almost scores. Rashford has a chance saved by Donnarumma. I mean, it was chaos for about 10 to 15 minutes in that second half. I couldn't believe my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of you couldn't believe it. It was absolutely absolutely ridiculous, and I was having flashbacks. I thought, you know, this is PSG heritage. PSG are going to, you know, they're gonna bottle it again. Another historic bottle job by PSG, and we were so close to getting it. You know, Asensio had a one-on-one. Rashford had a chance. I mean, they just had so many chances. Villa, they could have easily gone through in this tie. Look at that, 5 big chances missed. But as much as PSG almost bottled it and looked pretty shaky for about a 10 to 15 minute spell, I will say this: I think if this is a PSG side of maybe 2 years ago, they're 100% out and Villa are in the semis. But this PSG side did pretty well after that to sort of compose themselves. They really did manage to take the sting out of the game. They had some chances themselves as well to score, and really for the last sort of 15 minutes of the game, Villa didn't really create anything as PSG just really did well to compose themselves and take the sting out of the game. So I'll give PSG that. Shout out Donnarumma as well, who made some pretty decent saves during that period where they were under the cosh. He came up clutch in the shootout in the last round, and he's come up clutch here in this tie, so fair play. But look, Villa, what I'll say with them, they'll be deeply, deeply frustrated and disappointed they didn't go through, because they had the chances to go through. They really, really could have easily on another day been in a Champions League semi-final. But what I will say is, kudos to them, because that is how you exit a Champions League. They went out on their shield and they went out fighting, they went out swinging, they gave it all they could. It's very easy at 2-0 down, 5 goals down, in the tie, or 4 goals down, sorry, in the tie, to just completely give up and lose hope against this PSG side. But Villa kept on fighting till the end, and their fans are going to be very encouraged by that. They should be extremely, extremely proud of their team. They gave it their all. But unfortunately, I think over the course of the 2 legs, PSG just had that quality. They had the quality in the final third, and I think PSG deserved to go through over the course of the 2 legs. So yeah, Villa did really well, and should be proud of themselves. A fantastic Champions League run, but in the end, I think the Bella team came out on top, and although PSG looked pretty shaky, I think they composed themselves pretty well, and over the course of the 2 legs, played some really, really good stuff. Alright, next up we have Borussia Dortmund 3, Barcelona 1. It ends 3-5 to Barcelona on aggregate. A hat-trick from Girassi and a own goal from Benesbani in the second leg. Now this was crazy. This was crazy because, I mean, this night was, honestly, I couldn't believe my eyes. So I was watching the Villa PSG game. Initially I didn't watch the Dortmund Barca one, because I was like, this one is, it's over. Barca are 4-0 up. And then, you know, they get an early goal, a Penenga penalty from Girassi. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, alright, let me just switch it on. I see Barca are just getting absolutely put under the cosh. And I was like, what am I witnessing right now? And then they score again, and then go 2-0 up, and now I'm like, is this on? Unfortunately, it was an own goal, but then Girassi scores in the 74th minute, and honestly, Dortmund almost came back. Dortmund, it was like the Villa one. I really couldn't believe my eyes for a second. For a second, there was actually a real possibility, I was thinking, and there was a genuine chance that Villa and Dortmund would have progressed, and Barca and PSG would have been dumped out, because Dortmund in this game, look at that, they absolutely battered Barcelona. It was unreal, it was unbelievable. The first half in particular, look at that, Barcelona had 1 shot the entire half. This is a Barca side who, for me, has probably had the best attack in Europe this year, and they had one shot in a half. Dortmund, though, they just, like Villa, could not, for the life of them, put their chances away. It was so frustrating, all over Barca, but they couldn't put their chances away. Girassi, I mean, he did all he could. He scored a hat-trick. He was the only one who put his chances away, but the rest of the team couldn't do so. It was really frustrating to watch. Shout out though, Julian Duranville, who came on and absolutely cooked for one of the Girassi goals. Oh my word, this guy's a baller. This guy's a baller. One of my subscribers, he's a Dortmund fan. He's been telling me about Duranville for a while now, and yeah, I mean, I saw it in that goal. He was unreal. But look, kind of similar to Villa, Dortmund fans should be so proud and happy and proud of their team, because it is so easy in a second leg. You're 4-0 down to just sort of sack it off and play like, oh, this doesn't matter. But they went out fighting. They went out on their shield. They said, we're giving it a go and we're gonna fight to the end and try and turn this around. And they did, and they almost pulled off the impossible. But this win should give them so much momentum going into the rest of the Bundesliga season. So fair play, Dortmund. But Barca, I mean, wow. What an awful performance. What an awful performance. It was, I thought, quite a tired performance. You know, they looked really leggy. They were just getting outworked, outfought, outmuscled. Barca in this tie, in this game, they just really didn't look themselves. And they're quite fortunate that Dortmund couldn't take their chances. Otherwise, Barca genuinely could have gone out. Yeah, everyone just had a really bad game. A really bad game, and you can also see the importance of Pedri in this team. The midfield was just getting absolutely cooked without Pedri in there, and yeah, it was not a good game from Barca. But look, at the end of the day, they're through. They did the work in the first leg to give themselves this sort of buffer and leeway to have a bad game. But they're gonna have to step up, and had this potentially maybe shown some flaws and weaknesses in Barca's game. Potentially. But I think anyone sort of assuming, oh, Barca, oh, PSG, you know, they're just unbelievable, they're unstoppable, we're getting a Barca PSG final. I think this was a bit of a reality check for both teams and people thinking that way, because trust me, the Champions League throws surprises all the time, and you can never assume in the Champions League. And as you've seen here, you know, Dortmund beat Barca, Villa beat PSG. Both PSG and Barca could have gone out. So yeah, both of them are gonna have to step up their games in the semi-finals, but they go through anyways. Right, next up we have Inter 2, Bayern Munich 2. It ends Inter 4, Bayern 3 on aggregate. Goals from Lautaro Martinez, Pavard, Eric Dyer and Harry Kane in the second leg. Wow, what a amazing tie for me. This was by far the best tie over the course of the two legs. It was thoroughly entertaining, both legs from start to finish. The drama over the 180 minutes was unreal. I predicted that it would be like this when it was drawn. I thought it was be the most even tie out of the games, and it proved to be, because these two teams went at it for both games and it was unreal. And in the second leg, Inter managed to just about hold on and get the win. Yeah, I mean, the first half was not the best. Bayern piled on the pressure and had a couple chances, but Inter defended well. But the second half, oh my word, I mean, we got 4 goals. It was goal mouth action. It was absolutely unreal. Harry Kane, I said after the first leg, you know, I need you to step up in these games. I need you to produce something. He stepped up with a brilliant goal. Fair play to him. to get his side back in the game, but then Inter, after this point they had to come out their shell a little bit, and boy did they were really good. From this point on, Lautaro Martinez, who was unbelievable throughout the entire game, he was unreal. His hold-up play, his link-up play, it was brilliant. Gets a goal, and then Benjamin Pavard, the ex-Bayern Munich man, he won a Champions League with Bayern Munich, haunts his former club with, I believe, his first ever goal for Inter, with a bullet header, fantastic header, to give Inter the lead, and they had a couple more chances. Bayern were really on the ropes for about 10 minutes spell. Inter were all over them, and I thought it was no surprise this was when Inter really sort of pressed high and were pushing for a goal, that Inter were doing well. I think if Inter defended pretty well, and I know their style is kind of counter-attacking, but actually I thought Inter's best spells during the two games were when Inter went on the front foot and said, we're going to press by and we're going to stick it on them and we're going to give the game to them and we're going to push for a goal. I thought that was when they were at their best. They didn't get it, and then they sort of sat off a bit after, and then that's where Bayern Munich sort of grew back into the game, I thought. And then Eric Dyer pulled off a brilliant header. Shout out Eric Dyer, by the way. I mean, he actually pulled out, and he did all he could, to be honest, to get Bayern through to the next round. A fantastic header, but then even he made a unbelievable goal line clearance. It was sensational, but then from the exact corner towards Pavard scores. It was really peak on Dyer, but yeah, Dyer did his part, and then the last 5 minutes of the game was absolutely brilliant. I mean, Inter were defending for their lives, Bayern Munich were just piling on the pressure, Inter were under siege, Big was going up for set pieces, Müller had a big chance, Kingsley Coman had a chance late on, Harry Kane had a big chance as well. Yeah, I honestly thought Bayern were going to get that late goal, but in the end Inter just about survived, and they go through. I will say I do think over the course of the two legs Inter were the better side in my opinion, but I think it was pretty close. Bayern, for me, they just, again in both games, could not take their chances really. They couldn't take their chances. They had sort of pretty good half chances in both games and they couldn't put them away, unfortunately. And in this game again, they had the chances there late on, but they couldn't put them away. And that was the difference, because into every chance they got, pretty much they tuck away in the first leg, and in this leg, clinical and ruthless in front of goal, and that is ultimately the difference between these two sides. It's not a lot, and it's harsh on Bayern because, to be honest, Bayern did better in the two legs than I expected, really. I will say that, I don't think Company is really to blame or anything like that. Maybe the first leg a little bit for their high line and stuff, but I think Bayern actually gave a good account of themselves over the course of the two legs. But ultimately Inter were the better side, and as I said, just took their chances more. So Inter go through and Bayern are out of the Champions League. Right, and finally Real Madrid 1, Arsenal 2, an aggregate score of Real Madrid 1, Arsenal 5. Goals from Vinicius Junior, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. Oh boy. This is a painful one. So Arsenal beat Real Madrid home and away 5-1 on aggregates. Wow. Yeah, I don't think anyone expected this. And I mean, all the talk and remontada, Real Madrid were gonna do it. I even did a poll. I I said, oh, Real Madrid gonna do it, and actually the majority of you said yes. Everyone, I thought Real Madrid had a chance. Everyone thought there was gonna be something, but fair play Arsenal, because I mean, they've gone and beaten Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid didn't pose Arsenal one problem, and I'll get on to Madrid in a second, but Arsenal defended so brilliantly. They didn't allow, over the course of both legs, they didn't really allow Madrid any big chances at all, and were thoroughly the better side over the course of the two legs. From start to finish, Arsenal were the better team. And what a scalp, and what a great confidence booster this is for this Arsenal team. They haven't really had a big result like this in Europe yet. Beating a big team and knocking them out, it's sort of, these big teams, it's been a hurdle for Arsenal under Arteta, but for them to now beat Madrid home and away, this is really something they can build on, and they're in the semi-finals now. Oh boy, and I can't lie, I mean, this is probably the biggest compliment you can get. Is, as a Chelsea fan, I'm getting worried. I'm starting to get a little bit shaky now. I'm starting to get a little bit nervous that Arsenal might actually go all the way and win this thing. I'm starting to get scared, because that was the most convincing two-legged performance out of any of the teams so far in the Champions League. It was utterly sensational. It was sensational. So yeah, well done to Arsenal. I mean, they even had a penalty as well in this game. I don't know why Saka's trying to Benenga, just put that away and the game's done, but in the end it didn't even matter. He got his redemption. Shout out Martinelli as well, because I mean, he busted a guard considering he was playing 90 minutes and he still had the pace to get past Fran Garcia for that goal. Was terrific, and yeah, incredible over the course of the two legs from Arsenal. Incredible, fair play. But if we're talking Real Madrid, I mean, what a shambolic two legs of football that was. What a shambolic two legs of football that was. And that second leg in particular, I mean, it was a pretty damp squid. All of the other games were really exhilarating, and got me off my seat. This one was just not good at all. And obviously I'm not blaming Arsenal here, they had to do that. But Real Madrid, I was expecting so much more. I was expecting them to put Arsenal under siege, put them under a bunch of pressure early on and really stick it to them. They didn't do that. They didn't do that because they simply couldn't. They couldn't break Arsenal down, because one, Arsenal defensively were fantastic, but two, I mean, Real Madrid were just absolutely toothless and had zero ideas, zero tactics going forward. They had no idea how to break down Arsenal. Vinicius, to be fair, I think he was the only one sort of trying to make things happen in this game. Everyone else just did nothing, and it was, as I said, it was a bit of a damp squid. Real Madrid went out on such a whimper to lose home and away 5-1. 5-1 on aggregate is simply shambolic and can't be happening if you're Real Madrid. It can't be happening. And yeah, the holders are officially out, so we will be getting a new champion this year. Real Madrid are gone, and yeah, all I'm saying is Ancelotti better hope that they win that La Liga, because if they don't, he is surely gone. He is surely gone, because I'm sorry, for Real Madrid, a club of this standard, you cannot be getting smacked up home and away by Arsenal like that. You can't. I don't care how good Arsenal performed, you can't, from a Real Madrid perspective, be getting obliterated really in both legs like that. It's simply not acceptable. And yeah, I mean, this Real Madrid team is just not good. It's just really not a good team. On paper it's good, but it's just not a team. It's not a team. Right. So, before we go, let's just do a quick little preview of our semi-finals. So, our semi-finals are Arsenal versus PSG and Barcelona versus Inter. Oh boy, this should be good. These ties, I cannot wait. Some really good ties here. And we are going to have a guaranteed new Champions League winner in the final. Arsenal and PSG, both teams have never won the Champions League before. One of them will make it to the final, and one of them will have a 50% chance. So technically we have a 50% chance here of getting a new winner of the Champions League this season. So that should be really interesting. Arsenal and PSG obviously played each other in the league phase, but that was very early on. Things have changed. Arsenal comfortably beat PSG then, but as I said, things have changed. PSG are a very different side, so it should be a fascinating game there. Absolutely fascinating. Barcelona, Inter as well. Two teams, unlike these, who have some real UCL heritage. And this should be a banger. This should be unreal because you have arguably the best attacking team in Europe right now versus the best defensive team in Inter. This should be fantastic. Cannot wait for this. Barca and Inter historically have had some unreal clashes, right? So it should be really good. And in the final, we could have a potential Barca Arsenal repeat in the final. We could have a Barca PSG final, which would be really cool because Luis Enrique in a final versus former club Barca. Or we, could have an Arsenal Inter, which would be interesting. PSG Inter as well would be really cool. I think these are going to be really good. I don't think we're going to see an Arsenal Madrid situation here where any of these sides are going to get absolutely smashed. I could genuinely see both going to penalties. I think these are two really evenly matched games, and I cannot wait for them. But anyways, those